Get ready, Weatherfield fans, because the cobblestones are about to be shattered by one of the most intense, chilling, and emotionally explosive storylines we have seen it all year. If you thought the drama surrounding Megan Walsh and Will Driscoll had reached its peak, you are completely unprepared for the terrifying psychological storm that is about to sweep through Coronation Street next week. The fallout from Megan's deeply inappropriate actions is destroying lives, and young Sam Blakeman is caught right in the centre of a terrifying mental collapse that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Before we dive into these shocking new spoilers and uncover exactly what happens during Sam's heartbreaking descent into darkness, please take a quick second to smash that like button and subscribe to CoronationST Update. By subscribing, you are joining a community of true Corrie fans who get the most accurate, deep dive tea before anyone else. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a single update, and let us get right into this unmissable drama. To truly understand the sheer panic and tension that is about to unfold, we have to look back at the absolute misery that has been brewing under the surface for weeks. As we all know, predatory teacher Megan Walsh was finally unmasked for her highly inappropriate relationship with her teenage pupil, Will Driscoll. It was a storyline that had all of us shouting at our screens, especially when we saw how deeply she manipulated him. But the collateral damage of this dark secret is what is truly taking centre stage now. Sam Blakeman, Will's classmate and friend, had grown highly suspicious of their unnatural dynamic. Because Sam is so incredibly perceptive, he became a massive threat to Megan's carefully constructed web of lies. In a desperate bid to keep her sinister secret buried, Megan and Will teamed up to make poor Sam's life an absolute living nightmare. The cruel treatment, the gaslighting, and the bitter falling out with Will took an unimaginable toll on Sam. Now, the soap is taking a deeply serious and heartbreaking turn. Following the fallout of Megan being exposed and Will finally reporting her to the authorities, you would think the worst was over. But for Sam, the nightmare is only just beginning. Over the next week, viewers will watch in horror as Sam battles with his mental health in a way we have never seen from this sweet, intelligent boy. He has been struggling silently with severe paranoia and crippling anxiety, but things are about to deteriorate dramatically. In forthcoming scenes, soap fans will witness Sam descending into a terrifying state of psychosis. His brilliant mind, usually so focused on logic and astronomy, is turning against him, plunging him into a frightening reality where he can no longer trust his own senses. What makes this storyline so incredibly gripping and tragic is the form his hallucinations take. Sam begins seeing and hearing Roy Cropper, but this is not the gentle, cardigan-wearing Roy we all know and love. This imaginary Roy is a manifestation of Sam's deepest fears and anxieties, a dark, twisted voice pushing him toward the unthinkable. It all starts when Sam is watching a completely innocent exchange between Will and his new companion, Hope Stape. As Sam watches them, his thoughts begin spiraling completely out of control. Will confides in Hope that he is seriously considering quitting athletics entirely, simply because running brings back such traumatic memories of Megan. Hope, being the fiery and fiercely loyal friend she is, urges Will not to let Megan have any further hold over his life. She tells him to reclaim his power. It is a touching moment of healing for Will, but from Sam's distorted perspective, the entire situation takes on a highly threatening and sinister tone. This is where matters take a deeply worrying turn. As Sam watches them, he firmly believes he can hear Roy speaking to him. The hallucinated Roy starts feeding Sam's paranoia, whispering dark thoughts into his ear, actively encouraging the terrified youngster to take matters into his own hands and get rid of Will for good. The imagery here is incredibly intense. Sam desperately protests to the imaginary Roy, insisting that he is not a violent person, that he doesn't want to cause harm. But the hallucination is relentless. The imaginary Roy aggressively brands Sam a coward and declares that their cherished friendship is completely finished if Sam doesn't act. For a boy who values Roy's mentorship above almost everything else, this imagined rejection is a devastating psychological blow that completely shatters his fragile grip on reality. The tension only escalates later in the week. Sam, still completely unaware that he is experiencing severe hallucinations, actually brings up the previous day's incident involving Will to the real Roy Cropper. Naturally, the real Roy is utterly baffled by Sam's comments. He has absolutely no idea what Sam is talking about, but unfortunately, in his panicked state, Sam entirely fails to pick up on Roy's puzzled response. The disconnect between Sam's reality and the actual world around him is growing wider by the second, and the people closest to him are completely oblivious to the ticking time bomb inside his head. Meanwhile, as if Sam's terrifying mental health crisis wasn't enough drama for the Cobbles, the manipulative menace herself is making a shocking return. Will tells Hope that he has received a message from a former running mate from Hull named Lee, who supposedly wants to catch up. It seems like a perfectly normal, positive step for Will to reconnect with old friends. However, as Will waits patiently for Lee to arrive, his blood runs completely cold. It isn't Lee who walks through the door. Megan turns up. In a heart-stopping moment of realization, Will discovers he has been completely set up. The sheer audacity of this woman returning after serious accusations surfaced against her is mind-boggling. What exactly is her agenda? Is she trying to intimidate him into dropping the police report? Is she trying to resume her inappropriate dynamic? Her presence on the street is a massive trigger, not just for Will, but it acts as a catalyst for the absolute chaos that is about to explode involving Sam. The following day, the situation reaches a boiling point that will leave viewers holding their breath. Sam goes to the Rover's return, completely overwhelmed by the constant whispering of the imaginary Roy right beside him. When he walks into the back room, he discovers Will sitting there entirely by himself, completely absorbed in a shooting video game. To anyone else, it is just a teenager playing a game. But to Sam, whose mind is plagued by severe psychosis, the flashing lights and sounds of the game are utterly terrifying. The hallucinated Roy whispers a chilling warning into Sam's ear, cautioning the boy that Will intends to cause his death as well. The imaginary Roy convinces Sam that Will is plotting his absolute demise. Overcome with blind, primal terror, Sam bolts from the room. Will, who is completely oblivious to the dark thoughts running through Sam's mind, just sees his former friend running away in an obvious state of sheer panic. Naturally, as a decent person who knows Sam has been struggling, a deeply worried Will chases after him to see what is wrong. But to Sam, this is the ultimate confirmation of his worst fears. The person he believes wants to bring about his death is now hunting him down. The suspense in this chase sequence is absolutely palpable. Sam rapidly darts across the street, his heart hammering in his chest, and throws himself into Roy's rolls, desperately securing the door behind him. Will arrives moments later, pounding relentlessly on the cafe door, pleading with Sam to let him in. But the horror inside the cafe is far worse than the perceived threat outside. Because inside the cafe, the real Roy Cropper discovers Sam in a dreadful, agonizing state. Sam recoils at the sight of the man he has always trusted. His mind completely fractures as he looks back and forth, entirely bewildered and terrified by the undeniable fact that he can perceive two completely different versions of Roy standing right in front of him. There is the actual Roy, looking at him with gentle concern, and the imaginary Roy, sneering and whispering threats. The psychological terror of not knowing which reality is true pushes Sam to the absolute brink. Outside the cafe, a crowd begins to assemble. Nick Tilsley, Toya Battersby, and Leanne Battersby rush to the scene, their faces painted with sheer dread. They are pounding on the glass, desperately pleading with Sam to unlock the door and admit them. The panic in Nick's voice as he watches his son completely unravel is going to be absolutely heartbreaking to watch. The audience will be left wondering, Could the real Roy be at serious physical risk from an increasingly agitated and entirely unpredictable Sam? When a person is trapped in a state of severe psychosis and firmly believes their life is in imminent danger, they operate purely on survival instincts. The enclosed space of the cafe turns into a pressure cooker of suspense. Eventually, Sam manages to escape the cafe, fleeing blindly into the sprawling, empty spaces of the precinct. This is where Carla Connor steps into the narrative, proving once again why she is one of the most formidable and fiercely protective figures in Weatherfield. Carla happens to be walking through the precinct when she spots the young boy hiding. The sheer terror etched onto Sam's face stops her dead in her tracks. Carla is no stranger to mental health crises. She has navigated her own severe battles with paranoia and knows exactly what a fractured mind looks like. Moving incredibly slowly so as not to startle him, Carla attempts to gently calm the deeply traumatized boy while quietly reaching for her phone to call for help. She manages to get Nick on the phone, urgently explaining the dire situation. While she waits for backup to arrive, Carla uses every ounce of her empathy to try and anchor Sam back to reality. But the damage done by the hallucinations is too profound. Just as Nick and David Platt arrive on the scene, the sudden movement and the influx of people overwhelms Sam completely, and he flees into the distance, disappearing from their sight. Carla is left standing there, visibly distraught and shaken to her core. She turns to a panic-stricken Nick and David, delivering the chilling assessment that she firmly believes Sam is experiencing full-blown psychosis. This revelation sets the stage for a deeply emotional and challenging journey for the entire Platts and Blakeman family. How do you pull a child back from the brink of such a severe mental collapse? Nick is going to be consumed by immense guilt, questioning how he missed the warning signs, how he allowed Megan and Will's toxic drama to infect his son's mind so deeply. Leanne will undoubtedly go into fierce mama bear mode, but you cannot simply fight a psychological illness the way you fight a neighborhood bully. The road to recovery for Sam is going to be incredibly long, requiring intense psychiatric intervention and an outpouring of unconditional love. And then there is the massive, looming question of Megan Walsh. How will the community react when they realize the sheer magnitude of the destruction she has left in her wake? She didn't just take advantage of Will. Her actions created a ripple effect of trauma that has quite literally broken the mind of an innocent bystander. If Nick or David find out that Megan is lurking around Weatherfield again, trying to set up secret meetings with Will, all hell is going to break loose. The residents of Coronation Street are fiercely protective of their own, and the anger directed at Megan will be absolutely explosive. Will she finally face the ultimate consequences for her deeply inappropriate behaviour? Or is she plotting one final, devastating move before the authorities lock her away? The brilliance of this upcoming week of Coronation Street lies in its fearless exploration of deeply sensitive and complex issues. It strips away the usual soap opera tropes and dives headfirst into the terrifying reality of mental illness and the lasting scars of manipulation. The performances from the actors playing Sam, Will, and Roy are guaranteed to be award-worthy, capturing the raw, unfiltered emotion of a situation spiraling completely out of control. We are going to see bonds tested, families pushed to their absolute limits, and a community forced to rally together in the face of profound darkness. Will Sam be all right? Can he ever truly shake the whispering voices from his head? Or will this psychological trauma alter the trajectory of his life forever? And what exactly unfolds next in the twisted game Megan is trying to play? You absolutely cannot miss a single second of this incredibly gripping storyline. Coronation Street continues on weeknights at 8:30 p.m. on ITV and ITVX, and trust me, you are going to want to tune in live because the spoilers only scratch the surface of the intense drama waiting for us on the cobbles. Thank you so much for tuning into this deep dive. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay completely ahead of the game on all things Weatherfield, please remember to hit that like button. Leave a comment down below with your theories on what Meghan's sinister agenda really is, and absolutely smash that subscribe button for Coronation ST update. Stay safe, keep the kettle boiling, and I will see you in the next video for more explosive Corrie tea.